Johnson, Republican from Wisconsin and a member of the Foreign Relations Committee. Senator, good morning.
Morning, Chris.
Obviously, you're a player in that hearing that starts in the next hour on Ukraine. What can you accomplish with this hearing? What do you want to find out?
Well, I think this really is a point in time where we need to speak with one voice. We really want to be united. The fault here, the blame really lies with Vladimir Putin and, basically his illegal acts. And what we need to do is we need to come together and come up with a plan for sanctions that actually have some teeth in them. I think the talk has been good. I think, listening to Samantha Powers and Secretary Kerry and this administration, they're talking a good game, but now we have to act. Vladimir Putin must pay a price for this so we can discourage him from further incursions into the other eastern parts of Ukraine. That'd be really troublesome. So this is a point in time where we really need to have politics end of the water's edge and speak in one voice from Congress and the administration. And quite honestly, the European Union.
A couple things I want to follow up on, and let's talk about that, speaking with one voice, because as you know, there have been critics in your party. You just heard with what John McCain had to say. Lindsey Graham has been critical. Is that not a good idea?
Well, listen, I think there's plenty of room for criticism, but again, the person to blame for this is Vladimir Putin. So we need to, in a very coldly calculating way, we've got to figure out how can we make Vladimir Putin pay a price for this illegal act.
Well, would you say that what the White House did this morning is a good start? These sanctions, the visa restrictions.
It's a step, but what empowers Vladimir Putin? High energy prices. I've always been very skeptical that Russia is going to be a partner in the Mideast, because let's face it, chaos in the Mideast keeps oil prices high. So I agree with Speaker Boehner. We ought to lessen restrictions in terms of gas exports. We need to make Europe less dependent on Russian oil and gas. I mean, those are the types of long-term economic measures we can take. I think we ought to be talking to Poland, in particular Poland, about that missile defense shield. We need to take a look at things that actually make Vladimir Putin pay a price for what he's done here.
Long-term, you say, but short-term, what's the end game in this crisis? What can Congress do? What would you like to see the president do?
Well, again, I think it's helpful if we are unified and speaking one voice, so we send that very strong signal to Vladimir Putin that we are going to act. And again, not just talking tough, but actually carrying through with those actions. Impose those sanctions. Make the oligarchs that support Vladimir Putin pay a price. Don't give them free rein traveling around the world and spending their dollars. Freeze their assets. Restrict their visas. Actually inflict a little bit of pain on these people to let them know we are serious. It's not just going to be tough talk. It's going to be tough action, and it'll be successively tougher action if they continue this illegal and unlawful activity.
Obviously, I don't need to tell you that the concern is, where do you draw that line between having Vladimir Putin pay a price, or putting the pressure on him, and alienating our allies who have serious and deep economic interests in Russia?
Well, that's what I was talking about. Longer term, we need to ease our own restrictions in terms of exporting our growingly abundant energy supplies here so we can reduce Europe and Ukraine's dependence on Russia. That is what gives Vladimir Putin all the power. And of course, chaos in the world that drives up oil prices continues to give him power. So America needs to be strong economically. We need to show resolve and strength in the world. That's the best way to deter Vladimir Putin from even doing worse things.
We're just showing new video that we just got in from Rome, and it's Secretary of State John Kerry and his Russian counterpart Sergei Lavrov. They have a long relationship from the time that he served with you on the Foreign Relations Committee, Senator Kerry. Having said that, diplomacy seems to be headed toward, let's give Vladimir Putin an off-ramp. Let's figure out a way to end this peacefully. We should reiterate that there hasn't been there's been no ethnic Russian who's been harmed in Crimea. At the same time, there were several people on this program yesterday who suggested, including the former U.S. ambassador, that Crimea is lost. Do you believe that? And is that the price that will have to be paid if there's going to be an off-ramp and this isn't going to escalate into something that becomes more bloody?
Sure, we should be providing that off-ramp, but we need to give Vladimir Putin and Russia the incentive to actually get on that off-ramp and de-escalate the situation. And without action, without actually making him pay a price, Vladimir Putin will continue to play this game, push us and push us, consolidate his gains, and then he'll come back and push us again. So again, we have to act. He has to pay a price for this. He's got to realize that if he keeps moving forward, he's going to pay a successfully higher price for these illegal acts.
I know you have a hearing to go into. Senator Johnson, I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us today.
Have a great day.